As the Dawn Winery's owner, Diluc dominates Mondstadt's alcohol industry. Wealth and information are at his fingertips. Modest and refined, yet quick to act whenever Mondstadt faces a crisis. What caused him to choose this path? How very curious.
There must be those who dare to pierce the darkness with their light.
Oh, hold up. Okay, full stop, just so everybody knows. Disclaimer, that was made by MiHoYo, not by me. It was just too awesome not to use at the beginning. All of the opinions, everything that is said in this video and on this channel are of my own. Play the game the way that you want to. So let's get on with it. Do you want to hit people with a big-ass claymore? Do you want to hit them with fire? Burn them to death? Melt them for extreme damage? Diluc might be for you. Also, do you like falcons? Because he just decided to show up while I was doing this. Diluc is a sustained or burst DPS. He's not really able to do any sort of supporting action for too many party comps. Not saying that he can't, but he's probably not the best option for that. Starting off, we have his 4-hit auto attack combo. So you can swing 4 times. It's called Tempered Sword. The last hit causes a bit of a burst, and it knocks back enemies. This also will give you extra element energy, as it is the finisher of a normal attack combo. Then you have your charged attack, Relentless Assault, which is your Ascension Talent 1. So I already have that. What's going to happen is you're going to swing relentlessly until you finish it off. It's dependent on that Ascension level. So as you can see, it was more than half of a stamina bar based on max stamina currently in this version of the game. So you can just continually swipe, you can dodge out of it and continue to go. This is your click hold to continue to go. And as you see, when you run out of stamina, it will also proc the final big swing. Next up is his E ability, which is called Searing Onslaught. You do quick attacks in succession. He's one of the few characters that can use their E ability or their elemental skill multiple times. So you can E again, and E a third time, and then it goes on to its full cooldown. The cooldown starts when you first press the initial E. So you have 3 charges of it. You can also weave attacks or dodges in between. So you can E, auto attack, E, auto attack, E. And you can see that the timer was about just over 6 seconds remaining. Now, if you want to have this be a lot more sustained, maybe you have an enemy that's been downed, one of those big flower guys, and you can just do all the damage that you want to. You can E, auto 4 times, slamming down for the big burst, E again, auto attack 4 more times. We'll see if we actually get these guys into this, and then E, and auto attack 4 more times. You can see my E is now back up from the initial combo. And I can keep going repeatedly. You don't have to do the 4-hit, you can do a 3-hit, but if you do 4 hits in between every single one, you're going to get your E back by the time it's up again. It's a very interesting mechanic that allows you to basically never stop swinging. Now, you can also do your E, dodge, run around a little bit, and then E again. You have about 4 auto attacks worth of time before you have to use your next one, or it goes on cooldown like you just saw. Moving on from there, you have your ultimate. This one is called Dawn. He is the Knight of Dawn, is kind of his lore. So when you use Dawn, you're going to do a big wind-up swing and a cool animation launching a dot that then explodes. So what I say by that, you also have your imbuement of fire at the very end. So all of my attacks will now be fire. So the initial swing is a big burst damage. And then as the Phoenix flies out, it does 3 or 4 ticks of damage. It's a small amount. And then as it launches upwards, that is where it's the explosion damage. You can actually see in your talents on Dawn, skill attributes. So the big windup is the slash damage. The dot is the 3 or 4 ticks as it's pushing its enemies back. And then as it launches upwards, that's the explosion. It doesn't really look like one, but it's as it's going upward into the sky. This will be another big hit. So if it's a smaller enemy that can be pushed back, they're going to take a lot of damage. Now, during this, your enchantment for 8 seconds, whenever you don't have any sort of other constellations, is how long you're going to have fire on your auto attacks. So you can use this to chain in many, many ways. Okay, so his passive is 15% restored or refund on ores when you craft Claymore type weapons. Since he is a Claymore type user, this is a very good passive because you're just going to have extra ore. But no one really cares about that. Alright, so it's Diluc combos time. You can make many, many combos based on what characters you have, based on the fact that he is a fire element user. The best combos for fire element users tend to be Melt, which does 2 times damage if you're proccing over a ice ability, or Overload, which I call Explosion, if you're using a lightning attack first. Explosion will do fire damage, Melt will do fire damage if hit with fire on the second time. One of the best combos that you can do is with Shongyun, in my opinion, if it's just a 2-man combo. Shongyun's E creates a force field, or a field of ice, that every auto now does ice damage. Once you switch to Diluc, you can ice damage, and then you can E to do fire damage for a melt attack. You can see how this will work. We're going to do this on this Ruin Guard over here to showcase the power of a 2-man combo here. Hello, Ruin Guard. I just want to be your friend. So the initial E hit is going to inflict ice. Watch above the target's head so that you can see. So you have an ice proc. We can do a fire proc for a melt. Now we're going to auto until we see that ice icon again, and then we can do another melt. The thing with Diluc is that he does have time in between his E, but not an extreme amount. So as you can see, I lost the ability to combo there because I was trying to demonstrate. So we're going to do it faster this time. We're going to E, we're going to do melt, then we're going to keep hitting until we get ice, then we're going to melt, then we're going to keep hitting to do ice, then we're going to melt, and get knocked back there. And because he still has ice on him, we can then ulti. You can see the ice just above his name. I'm currently using a level 1 weapon on both of my characters so that I can showcase this without blowing this dude up instantly. We're going to do this again real quick. So ice, into melt, into auto for ice, into melt, into auto, 2 autos to get ice there, and then we're going to melt one more time. Oh, you knocked me back while I was doing it. So if you're activating your E while you get knocked back, it will actually put it on cooldown. It is something that I've noticed. It can be a pain, but you just need to get better and dodge and not be recording a video. Combo number 2 that I like to use. If the first combo with Shongyun was called Relentless Melts, because he just keeps doing melt damage over and over, it's very calculated in how you're doing it, because you're not spamming, you're making sure you have that ice chain on there. The second one would be a Relentless Shatter Melts. So you can add in a water character. In this case, I'm going to use Barbara. So you can't really do the melts repeatedly with too many characters. Shongyun's the best at it because of the way that interaction worked. But if you add in Barbara, you can also freeze the enemy. Now my Barbara also has the book on her that gives, when full rank 5 refined, gives 50% attack bonus to the next character you switch to. It's for 10 seconds. So this is probably going to do quite a bit of damage. But it's also going to have the ability to proc freeze because of the ice damage. Now, a frozen enemy takes bonus damage from an effect called Shatter if they're hit by a Claymore when frozen. Otherwise, they actually take reduced damage. So in this case, we're going to use Shongyun's E, then we're going to switch to Barbara, put on her E, he's going to get frozen, and then we're going to do that. So we got to vaporize there because the E around me caused a water proc after the Shatter. Now, Vaporize is 1.5 times damage if finished with a fire ability. So you can still use that. We're going to freeze them there. We're going to switch. We're going to do that. And basically, you can get repeated frosts. You can even just attack with Barbara if you want. We're going to use his Q to freeze him. And you can see Shongyun's actually hits multiple times. So this guy's getting frozen, taking shatter damage, while also getting Chongyun's melt damage. So there's a melt. You can hit him a couple times here. He's got water on him, so if we hit him with an auto, although Rune Guards like to do that, so you can even freeze them when they're doing that. It's not recommended to melee while they're going ham like that. So we're going to start over. We're going to do E, do this a bit faster. And you can see I did the... When you have the E up, you're only doing ice damage. So the white damage that you're seeing is actually the shatter damage. So the concept is that you're going to be continuously melt, freezing, and vaporizing over and over and over. Alright, so this is round 2 of Relentless Shatter Melts, which is basically using water, ice, and fire. We're going to use Xiangyun. I'm going to go a bit faster than before. So you can see he keeps getting proc Frozen, Shatters, and Melts. And this is with a level 1 weapon, so it's doing quite a bit of damage. You have to wait until you get this back up. Barbara's doesn't come up as often, so you can do autos to do the Frozen. But then you're back to basically a melt chain on the second set. The first set gets a lot of the freeze procs. You might be able to do this more with other water characters. Alright, the third sustained DPS combo for Diluc with these specific members is going to be, may as well call it a Relentless Conducting Explosive Shatter Melt combo. This basically means that I'm going to be using a lot of different effects to cause those explosions, well, they're called overload. You got superconduct happening, you have freezes, which cause shatters, you have melts, you have vaporizes. It's kind of all over the place. It's less calculated, more throw everything at it and just hope it all sticks. So I'm not going to do what I would normally do. Usually I would shoot him with Fischl in the eye so that he basically falls down, and then you can just one combo him. We're going to try to do this without. So we're going to drop down Fischl's E. You can also use Lisa's Q or E for this. Then we're going to go right in. That's a superconduct. We're going to auto. Switch to Barbara. Throw on your water. Get back into Diluc. And now we're doing superconduct. We're doing autos. We're doing melt damage, vaporize damage. It's all over the place, right? And because of superconducts, he's getting less physical defense, so any white attacks, which is a little bit counterproductive towards your full ice attacks, but if you add in a weapon that has proc damage, like the Animus or the Debate Club, those will actually benefit from superconduct as far as my testing shows currently. Okay, so here's another version of that same thing with different characters, because not everyone's going to have the same character build. My Lisa is literally level 1, so this should be interesting. We're just going to be proccing Superconduct with her. So we're going to do this, proc Superconduct, switch to Barbara, and now we're probably going to get a lot more Vaporize and overloaded charges, because Kaya was not sustaining. If I had his ultimate up, it would, though. And as you can see, I can now Superconduct into a Vaporize. We're going to be able to vaporize again. So you can combo in a lot of sustained ways with Diluc with any type of party setup. However, I just like that other version a lot more. Now, one of the biggest AoE bursts that you can do as Diluc is by either throwing lightning on all targets or ice onto all targets, and using your ultimate to hit them all with the big wind-up slash. It's going to do double damage in the melt category, or the explosion damage will proc on all enemies, making them all explode and deal more damage to each other. So in this regard, it really comes down to your setup as to which one will do more damage and how many enemies there are for the explosions. So you can do this by just switching to Lisa, throwing on lightning on multiple enemies, maybe throwing down her ultimate so it's proccing on most of the enemies, and then switching and using Diluc's ultimate. Another way that you can do this is with any wind caster. They all have an ability to swirl. So what we can do is we can get one shot on Lisa. We're going to put lightning on him, and then we're going to swirl it. I missed the swirl, but we'll see if we can just ulti it and get lightning in there. So there's the lightning swirl, and then we can do our ulti, and this is just going to blow them the heck up with overloaded. So as you can see, that is kind of your swirl ultimate combo. And you'll be very surprised the amount of fire damage that Diluc puts out. He's going to have his ultimate quite often, so every time you get your alt combos, or the main character can just do the swirl combo by holding his E, his elemental skill. There is PS4 players out there. So you can do this with many different characters and then finish the attack with Diluc's ulti. You can do this both in his sustain build or a burst build, so you can use him as your primary DPS doing sustain, and then whenever you know you have everybody's ults, you do that combo for a big burst. Or if he's not your main character and you just have him as a burst DPS, you can use those combos as a finisher and then go back to your main character that you were using to do the most kind of sustain damage. Your playstyle is up to you. Some weapon choices that you have for Diluc. Now, obviously, he has some really great 5-star ones that he can use, but let's just assume that you're not wailing for the game or you didn't get lucky. If you did get lucky, it's the Wolf's Greatsword or something. It's red and black. It looks amazing with him, and it does a lot of damage. I would recommend using that one if you have it. If you don't, when you pulled all your free pulls, etc., you most likely got a weapon called the Debate Club. Now, you also get components to build an Aminus, prototype Aminus, which is very good. Let's say refinement rank 1, maybe you don't have 2 of them yet, or 3 of them in my case. Now, this is going to give you additional damage on a chance for hit every 15 seconds, whereas the Debate Club, every time you use your element skill, it basically activates the ability to do extra damage per hit every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. Because he uses his element skill all the time, he basically just always has that up, so every 3 seconds he's doing bonus damage. Now with Xiangyun, I always deal ice damage, so anytime you see a white proc during this is going to be the Debate Club. And as far as I can tell, it actually benefits from Superconduct. So every one of those white hits is from, so you can see, well, now I'm back to normal hits, so we can go back on there, throw this on, so he's super conducted. So every one of those white hits, the 770s that you're seeing, the 500 there, that's all the Debate Club, just giving bonus damage. Whereas the Aminus I have on my Xiangyun, so whenever he procs that one, it's the same for Diluc, so if you're doing it as a burst damage, every 15 seconds he has a 50% chance to proc. So that 321 was the bonus damage on that. Alright, for artifacts for Diluc, just like any DPS, primary, carry, or sustained or burst DPS, you're going to want to go with max attack. Attack is going to be, everything scales on attack. Element Mastery is really good on top of attack if you're making him a burst build, where he's causing reactions. You can check that out in another video as to how all that works, but Element Mastery is more bursty for reactions, whereas your crit rate is going to be more for sustained attack builds, and your flat fire damage is going to be really good if you're keeping him, using his ulti and keeping fire on him all the time. The other ones I probably would stay away from would be things like recharge on his ulti. He gets his ulti so often from the amount of fire damage he's kicking out, he does not need to use those types of set bonuses. As of right now, I am currently using Martial Artist. This may or may not be the best option. For what I'm doing right now, it's really great because I'm constantly auto-attacking and constantly using his special element skill with the Debate Club. So this gives him a large amount of extra damage right now. This is just good for me, probably not good for you. You're going to have a different setup. You can use any sort of set that is about attack and doing more damage in the style you're choosing, either sustained or burst. Let's do a little showcase of everything that we've kind of talked about here. I'm going to be doing that really big combo that is just me throwing every element at him until it sticks, and using Diluc as my sustained DPS. While we're doing that, we'll talk about some of the materials and everything that you need for Diluc to upgrade his talents, etc. So these are actually ice enemies, which is very good for me because I get to melt them constantly. We're going to put that out. We're going to give him superconduct. Go like so, get frozen constantly, and we're just going to sustain the crap out of these. So while I'm blowing these up, let's talk a little bit. So, a couple of the items that you need for Diluc, he uses resistance books. He uses Fatui insignias, so basically the sergeant's insignias, etc. All the guys from the Fatui. You'll use that for Ascension. You'll use that for your talent upgrades. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As you go up in levels, you're going to have to use the higher end ones. So if you're maining Diluc, you want to aim for all of that. And these guys are all frost, so I can basically just use this and get melt damage right away. So as you can see, he's very, very good at defeating his opposing element, which is ice. And he's also really, really good at taking out these mages. Because all you have to do is ulti, which is going to do a large chunk of it, and then everything you do from there on is doing fire damage, so you can break ice shields quickly. Now, I'm not in an optimal setup right now, but you can see how this is doing pretty good work on enemies of my level. Now, these guys are also able to be affected by frost, so you can smash them with melts. So that's kind of a smash every button until it works. I generally prefer to do Shongyun into Diluc only because you can visibly see the damage happening a lot more, but whenever you add in all those different combos, the debate club, etc., getting superconduct procs, frozen shatter procs, it adds up, so you get smaller numbers, but they're all over the place. And those were for ballad books. So that's basically it for Diluc. He's an amazing character, has lots of damage in whatever way that you decide to build him. He's probably not going to support for you, though, although his winery will probably support your alcohol habits, so you'll need them if you pulled specifically for him and used all your money.
Let the show begin.
Send them. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what kind of builds you want to see next, what kind of characters you want to have overviewed, and if I have them, I'll do a video. Have a good one.